The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
Welcome back to the K4Wins, man. Every show now is huge. It's a monster. K4Wins, K4Wins.com. He is Kai Gregory. He has been in the business, in the handicapping business now for nearly 4 decades. Me too. I've won a lot. I've lost a lot. And I've done it on both sides of the ledger. Of course, I've been in sports radio, ESPN, and more. And this is a big time of the year because it's March Madness. Before we move on, I know yesterday we had nothing up because there really wasn't any good games up. We're not going to play just to play. We don't do that. If it's during football season and you need to make back a shitload of money on Monday, we may not have a play on Monday night. We may not like it. If we don't like it, we're not going to play it. But if we do like it, you're probably going to hit about 66, 67%. Where are we at this past week?
Yeah. Yesterday there were 2 or 3 games that we looked at, and it just wasn't there. I've looked, and I think we would have gone 1-1-1 if we'd have posted. So yesterday took off. Last week, not bad, 22-11, which is pretty good for March Madness.
Fantastic.
We had some people fuss when Friday we only had 3 plays. We went 3-0, and I'm like, You know what? I'll just do 3 plays anytime to go 3-0. If you see value, you place the bets, you place the wagers. We recommend those, and if we don't, we don't. So 22-11 last week. We've been talking about all of March. February, very good month, 91-38. Year to date, 286 and 160. Going into what should be a very interesting week with the quarterfinals Sweet 16 quarterfinals, and then you got quarterfinals of NIT also, and another day to be super happy about, Thursday, Major League Baseball.
Yeah. I know, man. I cannot wait. I just love Major League Baseball. I love opening day. I'm a Cincinnati
And our
Reds.
teams play each other the very
I know,
first.
right? Cincinnati Reds fan. Of course, it used to be the Cincinnati always got the first pitch every single year because they were the first Major League Baseball team in 1869. That's not the case anymore. But yeah, the Bo Sox and the Red Sox, the Red Stockings, and the Red Sox. I guess you can make it. Yeah, whatever. It's still the Reds and the Red Sox. It's going to be fantastic, and I love that. I wish they were playing a 4-game series to start the year. They always play one game, and then the Reds will be off a day, and then they'll get after the series. All right, so I'm going to ask you right at the top. Let me give you the numbers: 3 1s, all the 2s. 1 3, 3 4s, 1 5, 1 6, 1 9, 1 11, no 7s, 8s, 10s, or nothing, 12 and above for the first time. And I can't even tell you when the last time it was. We didn't have a double digit 12 or higher going into the Sweet 16. Usually for the last 9 years, we've had a double digit seed in the Final Four. And we only have 1 double digit seed in the Sweet 16, which is really, chalk. Outside that 11 seed. We can make an argument. Texas will never be a Cinderella. What has been the biggest surprise so far of what's appeared in the Sweet 16 for Kai Gregory?
Probably my Vols.
Yeah.
Being the only team in the tournament that had to beat 2 30-win teams in order to get to the Sweet 16. Although, albeit not the 2 strongest teams in the tournament. That's
all right. You beat a 32-2 team. Not bad.
Second straight year, the Sweet 16 is made up of only major conferences. Mm-hmm. Second straight year. And second time in history of the NCAA tournament. That tells you, there's nobody, which to me tells you more and more that NIL is destroying the mid-major, the Cinderella, at least for this portion of the tournament. Because you had a mid-major, a great story with Miami, Ohio, but what happens? They get in the tournament, they get a win, and then they get spanked. I think the biggest surprise for me is really probably how well Alabama has played offensively without Holloway, and how well defensively they played the other night.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's not offensively 90 points is what they're averaging when they put up a 90 the other day. Defensively and maybe Nate is finally saying, listen, guys, we're going to put up our 91 every single night. Just play a little defense. Just give me a little defense on that set. Maybe get some transitional baskets out of it. We know we can run, but just play a little defense. All you got to do is keep them under 85. We're going to win every night.
Well, and their total against Michigan's 175. Mm-hmm.
And a big line too. Let's start right there. When I heard that, I thought it'd be closer to 6.5. It opened at 10.5. And basically, they're basically saying it's Michigan's game, and Michigan is head and shoulders. 9.5 point spread is heads and shoulders above someone else. Period. Let's be honest here. That's what it was. Tennessee over Miami, just to give you some comparison. But I don't think anyone thought that Alabama would be a 9.5 point dog to Michigan. The Wolverines are really, really good. Are they that good?
It depends on how Alabama shoots the threes. I defensively, yes, they've done what they did. You can say they're going to get 85 or 90 points every game, but without Holloway, you're trying to figure out where that 16, 17, 18 points is going to come from. And they've played well, but they're not going to go into this game like they did the last two games with a significant size advantage inside. Probably two of the 6 times it's happened all year to Alabama. They're not going to have a size advantage. It'll be the exact opposite inside. And the bigs for Michigan are athletic, which will also help. 9.5, I couldn't do it. I could not take Michigan minus 9.5. But at the same time,
I'll take it. I'll take it all day long. I don't have a heart in it. I will take it all day long just because I know Bama fans are licking their chops. I can only imagine how many bets you've already taken on Alabama. Probably wanted to open up at 10 to get Alabama plus double digits. But I can also see I can easily see a 90-78 game here if they're not shooting lights out.
Yeah, but in a lot of these games with the I guess for lack of better terminology, the bigger teams, if you will, the more popular teams, underdogs are covering like crazy in these games. And it's been wild to see if you would have taken the points, not taken the points, bet underdogs every single game. And even better, bet the money line in these games.
Do you have the number on the I have not looked at the I should have.
I don't. I didn't look because it was pretty close. But the biggest things were if you had gone into the NCAA tournament and you had bet money lines on dogs, just money lines on dogs, you would be up a ton of money right now. I mean, look at Iowa against Florida. Nobody had that. Nobody thought Iowa was going to win that game, especially the way they did. I mean, let's be honest. Florida got lucky to get back in that game.
Yeah, they did. The 9 seed out of the Big Ten. The Big Ten obviously is doing very, very well. They still have Illinois in the hunt. They still have Purdue in the hunt. They still have Michigan in the hunt. They still have Michigan State in the hunt. They've got it going on, the Big Ten. So I would say right now, and I'm looking at the SEC, Texas, I think, you can make the argument again. It's an 11 seed. That's not a Cinderella. It doesn't count. Don't tell me it does. Arkansas is still in the mix. And then, of course, you got Alabama and Tennessee still getting after it. Let's go game by game, and because I think there's a couple things that just stick out to me real quick. Well, let's go. There's 8 ball games. 4 on Thursday, starts around 6 o'clock. 4 on Friday. It's just a great weekend. It's just a fantastic weekend. Unfortunately, after this weekend, it's pretty much over. I mean, just let's be honest. Yeah. You get the Final Four, and it's like, what the hell just happened here? I feel like I was just at Buffalo Wild Wings last Thursday, and it was just like basketball overload. It was so fantastic, and now it feels like it's almost over already. Thank God Major League Baseball is starting, so I don't cry. But tell me off the bat, just looking at the lines real quick, what were a couple of games that just right away like, wow, I'm all over that?
Iowa, Nebraska. I just like the matchup for Nebraska. I think it works out really well.
A team that had never won a game. Yeah. Now they've won 2. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard for me to really want to jump there, but I like Nebraska. I do tend to slide to the over in this game just because it's so low at 134. But there's that. That one jumps out probably more than anything. I was really surprised at the line for Houston, Illinois, only being 3.5. Coming out, and that 140 total, I think I think that's gonna be a fun game. Again, the one that really jumps out though is that Iowa Nebraska game. Just coming up front with neither one of those teams were expected to be there. I don't think Nebraska was expected to be there either. I think everybody thought Nebraska, including myself, would lose in the first round. And it would just kind of go from there, but they're actually playing pretty well. And Iowa, everybody saw what they did to Florida, so it's kind of like okay, who's next?
That is the 4-9 matchup. We go game by game. Texas is not surprising anybody right now. Sean Miller, I hate him. I love the fact that what was it, the last game or the game before? There were 4 Xavier fans that were actually kicked out of the tournament because they were heckling Sean Miller, calling him a quitter and telling him that he was a piece of crap and blah blah blah. They had Xavier jerseys on. They kicked him out of their March Madness game. That 6.5 point line looks like maybe Texas would be the play there. Maybe it's just a little low. I'm loving Arizona -7.5. I know that sounds like a lot. I know everyone's been talking about A Cup. I think the party ends right here. I don't think we've ever seen a defense. And no one's talking about Arizona's defense, but 7.5. I thought it was going to be closer to 9, but I think Arizona can win against Arkansas double digits. I think it's finally over. You're a one-man band there. They're playing very, very well. Nothing against Arkansas. They won the SEC. I get it, but I love Arizona -7.5 in that particular game. I agree with you that Houston -3.5 looks like a gift. I don't think anyone thought the Fighting Illini would make it this far. That 140 is kind of dangerous. I'll stay away from that. I've gotten bitten by Houston a couple times. Duke and St. John's. Something tells me that Patino's got a run in his ass. Duke obviously is banged up. Gongba's back. We realize that. But Caleb Foster's still out. They're giving up 6.5. It's what, 142.5 is the over under. That seems like a big nut for me. If it was closer to 3 or 4, I'd probably leave it alone. But if I'm getting St. Johnny's +6.5, I may have to jump on that. Michigan -9.
You got injuries and things like this that matter in a lot of these games that have happened in the tournament. You've got, I don't care what anybody says, you've still got the situation with Nate Ament at Tennessee, who he tried to give the game away the other night with some of the worst freshman turnovers I think I've ever seen in big moments. You got Jeffries, who's they're playing from Iowa State, who is injured and is probably not going to be back. You've got your injuries. I mean, you have, your druggie at Alabama who doesn't get to play. You have your injuries with Duke. You've got one of the guys from Illinois still hurt. You've got the matchup you're talking about, Arkansas, Arizona. I just want to know what Barry's can do for Arizona. Can he shut down Akif or vice versa? Because that's big. But Arizona's big men, and they're, that I've heard all these Alabama fans say all year long, it's just not fair because they have their pros, and they couldn't get Bediako, even though it's two completely different things. Arizona does have those guys. I mean, really, the 2, 3, 4, and 5 spots are huge, not small, huge advantages for Arizona over Arkansas going in.
Yeah, I was blessed enough to actually see that Alabama-Arizona game. The line was 1.5. I remember it because I actually took Alabama in that game, and they got blown out in the second half. I was taking it just to be a homer. I think I put a 50 on it or something. But watching Arizona again, I know it was just one game. That team is a machine. 2 turnovers in the entire second half. And
now that was when Alabama was not playing defense.
That's true. And as good as Alabama is getting up and down the floor, you just think this haphazardly is going to probably be. I think that's going to be interesting. I think the Houston game, to get back to that, I think that Houston, I love Houston in that game -3.5 just because they love to full court pressure and they will not wait till halftime to bring it on. They don't wait till they're down before they bring it. You may even see full court pressure right off the bat against Illinois. And I think they can throw them off. Illinois had problems with pressure all year long. They're not good against it, and their transitional game isn't particularly good. I think I want to say they're like sitting 68% in transitional baskets, which is not good. When you're getting up and down the floor. The other game I think is fantastic. Well, real quick, St. John's and Duke. Let's go straight coaching. Who's got the better coach here, Pitino or Shire?
I think it has to be Pitino, just longevity so far. You have to go, I think, that way. You have to.
And in the game where I love one coach and I absolutely despise the other, Izzo and Hurley. Hurley's already mentioned 4 times. Yes, I've won back-to-back championships. He brought that up the other day. I've won 2 national titles. I've got some moxie. I've got equity in my bank. I've won 2 championships. He kept saying that. I was like, we know, dude. I mean, he is so full of shit. And you can't say anything about the guy because he's won a championship. He's not Gino Auriemma. All right, he hasn't won 14 or 15, but he's won his 2, which is very, very impressive. But yeah, they're a 1.5 favorite over Tom Izzo, and of course, Mr. March Madness. He is now gone to 17 Sweet 16s. which amazingly enough ties him for Dean Smith, but that's only fourth. In other words, there's three other guys that actually have more than he does, which I thought was amazing. And of course, he's going vying for his 9th Final Four, if in fact he can possibly get past UConn in this particular game. Who do you like in that game? I love games where they're close to a pick.
Yeah, but some of those people that have more Sweet 16s than him have Sweet 16s when it was only 32 teams in the tournament.
True, yeah, you're right.
As well. So, and when they were the dominant, and just like, Ariama, I mean, if you give me the top 5 girls in the country or in the world year in and year out, I probably win them all.
Something's got to change. I'm sorry, but something's got to change. When it's 65-12 at halftime, I'm sorry, that's not good. That's not. You want to talk about 12 and 18 teams making it in March Madness, and we talk about Asia. That's just not good. When one of your best teams has got 12 points at half and they're getting beat by 50, I don't care how good South Carolina is or how good UConn is. The disparity there's an issue with that. That is women playing against little girls. It is women.
But that's the way it's been in women's college
I know.
basketball.
Well, something needs to change.
Anybody's ever paid attention to it, the top and the bottom, or even the top and the middle, it's night and day women's basketball from men's.
It's like I always say, it's like a reef. I mean, you're out there, it's knee deep, you're knee deep, and all of a sudden it goes down 150 feet. I mean, you're right there, top 3 or 4 teams, really, really good, and all of a sudden everyone else is down the abyss. I hate that for them because I know they're trying to be like the boys, and I know people want to watch them. But like you said, when there's an 80-point line during the season and they cover, there's an issue there. There's a problem. Title IX or not, there's something wrong there.
I don't know any guy that is going to have an opportunity to watch any men's basketball game versus the number 1 versus number 2 women's teams in the world that they're going to choose to watch women's. None. Yeah. If their daughter doesn't play basketball, or if their daughter doesn't go and play basketball, they're not watching that because.
And I've seen this. I actually talked to the women's UAB head coach. I can't remember her name. Is it Coach?
You would remember
if you cared. Well, yeah, exactly. If they were good, they were playing in March Madness, I would have. She was actually on the Inferno podcast, which I started and got booted off of after a couple of weeks, but they did pay me. But she was she was asking about women's basketball, and of course they get all kind of huffy. She's like Muffet. They get all kind of huffy puffy when you sit there and say anything bad about it. And I said, no, I went and watched women's basketball with my son last year, and what I noticed is there are like 13,000 times more blocks in women's basketball than there is in men's basketball, and they miss closer shots. And she said, why do you think that is? And I said, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's the trajectory of the basketball. She goes, what do you mean? I said, when a guy goes up to put a layup up, he's putting the layup up here. The ball's above his head. When a girl does it, she's almost got to shovel it up. It's never above their head unless, of course, it's an open layup. And so the trajectory of the basketball means it's going up. It's like throwing a free throw underhanded as opposed to overhanded. There's a lot of people that say you have a better shot at doing it underhanded because of the trajectory of the basketball. But with women's basketball, you can't shoot from the hip because it's going to get blocked every time. That's why you have 15,000 blocks every single game.
Hey, I will tell you what,
I thought I was full of shit, by the way. She's like, you're full of shit. And I said, okay, well, I'm just telling you, ask me a question.
I'm going to agree with her just because I coached girls basketball for years and years and years. And I'll tell you this, 2 things about girls versus guys.
This ought to be good.
Girls listen way better than guys do.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, girls care about winning. Guys care about looking good.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, when I had girls that I coached that I knew would run through a brick wall for me, no matter what, because they know, and yes, to some extent, guys, and things have changed, but the girls know coach loves them. Coach is going to look out for them. They want to do whatever to make the coaches happy, to play well, to be together. Guys want to look good. They want to dunk. And yeah, there's like 3 women that can dunk, but that's all guys care about. Hey, I'm going to dunk. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Girls want to win.
You are the Pat Summitt of little Geeks girls. I will say that.
I wish.
You are Mr. Pat Summitt. All right. So, we got a couple of games too, and I love these over-unders. Alabama, Michigan, 175.5. I don't think.
I think if that goes over, I think it's really good for Alabama.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you, and that's why I think it's going to go under. Something just tells me that they haven't seen a team like Michigan, and when they have, they've got their ass.
That's a 90 to 85 game. People got to think about that. And how often do you actually see 175 points scored
every night with Alabama
this far into a tournament?
Yeah,
because now. More than even the round of 64, the round of 68, or in a regular season game. Now, possessions matter. things matter. You don't, sometimes you don't take the stupid shot or risk the stupid turnover. Instead, you pull it back out, slow it down, and where you might have taken that shot in 6 seconds on the shot clock, now you're taking it at 27 seconds, and you do that 5 times, or let's say you do that 10 times in a game. Well, guess what? There's 4 minutes off the clock that you usually would have been just shooting and jacking them up, that you don't do it now.
It may be one of those situations. I always look at the first 5 minutes. Obviously, if you have the over, you want a 10-10 game 5 minutes in. You want to be at about 23, 24, 25 points per team at halftime because you're going to get some free throws. And, of course, the second half line is always higher than the first half line. I will tell you this, Michigan, 12 and 21 over-unders this season. They've gone under 21 of 33 ball games. Alabama, and you would think they couldn't set the line high enough, but they're actually going over at an 18-14 clip. So despite the fact that people are playing Alabama over games, they have been going over, so quite a bit. But Michigan's gone under big time at a 12 and 21 rate, which I think is really, really interesting. I agree with you. I think if they get up and down the floor, I do think it's going to be a fun game. I think the first half is going to be a blast. You're a halftime guy. You're a first half tie. What is the over-under, and what is the line on Alabama-Michigan first half? Do you have an idea on that?
I have not gotten it yet. I'm going to assume, looking at this line, that your halftime total should be right around 87.5, and Michigan should probably be a 5.5 point favorite.
Yeah, you're. You know what? Wow, this is surprising. Michigan 5.5 and 83.
83 gets you to 186. So, I mean, that's way higher. 83 and 83.
And what you just said? You thought it'd be 87?
Well, I meant 77.
77.
I just split it. First half, and it's crazy because a lot of people think the first half is going to be your higher scoring game, and in regular season, I would agree. Generally speaking, tournament time, your second half is a higher scoring game, especially if it's not a blowout, because you've got fouls going on the last 2 minutes. You're slowing down the game, and let's be honest, we've seen some freaking miracle last minutes of. I think in one of the games, Kentucky, the first Kentucky game where I went to overtime, they had like 14 points scored in the last minute of the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, then you go into overtime, which obviously gets there. So,
83.
I'm with you. I think under, if I'm going to play the first half, and Alabama has been a much better second half team and they score a lot more in the second half, especially if they're behind. If you go and look SEC tournament, you look NCAA tournament, you look, they have had some not great first halves, but they've come out gangbusters. I mean, the other day, I think both of their games in this tournament, they played much better in the second half. So I would probably go under first half and then turn around and take over in the second half.
Yeah, and I'm kind of liking me some Michigan minus 5.5 in the first half too, and it's 5.5 across the board. There's no challenge. The over on the first half is anywhere from 82.5 to 83.5.
I think that game's a great game to look at and place live wagers and in game because if they come out and they're running up and down the floor the first 8 minutes, and if you watch that game, and if Michigan is trying to run with Alabama. Yes, I said it just like I meant it. If Michigan is trying to run with Alabama, that's just good for Alabama. And if Michigan gets a 6-point lead in that game and you can get Alabama live, plus 12, 13, 14, 15 in a situation like that, that's something to hop on. I'm sorry, if you can get Alabama plus in those if they're running. I really look at that as a great place for a in-game wagering live or a halftime play.
Arkansas, Arizona, the other one that's is pretty highfalutin, 167.5. The line right now is 7.5, and I'm sitting here looking at the first and a half and second lines because I think this is really good. Arizona 4.5 first half, 79.5 over under first half. What do you like in that?
Does it give you Arkansas or Arizona's team totals for the first half?
No.
Okay.
It's just
no.
team,
it may not be up yet. So looking at that, you said it was 79.5.
Yeah, 79.5. So it would be what 40, 43, 39, 40, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Arkansas is probably around 42.5 to 43.5. it's very difficult. I'm sorry, Arizona's. It's very difficult for me to go into this game and have any idea what Calipari is going to do. The size matchup again, and Arkansas has some very good inside players. I mean, Brazil's all over the place the other day in their game. Arizona's size and their propensity to rebound and pound the paint. If they get Brazel and one other guy in foul trouble for Arkansas, I think Arkansas is just completely screwed. I don't know that Darius Acuff can do enough to keep them in the game, but I thought that before, and look what he did, in the overtime loss at Alabama. Look what Acuff did in the SEC tournament. I mean, if they had gotten off to a better start earlier in the year, I think, or if he had gotten, his first 8 games, 4 more points a game, maybe, I think he's player of the year or in the talks for player of the year, top 5 nationally, whereas he may not be right now, even though he's done very well SEC and all that. I like what Acuff does. I like Brazel and Morgan and some of the other guys that they have on the team. But man, I mean, Tony, how could you take the 8 points against Arizona, knowing what they have done to people? It just,
I know.
I couldn't. I mean, give me 14 points, okay, maybe 8.
No, that's why at the top of the show, that's the first game that jumped out to me is I'll take Arizona all day minus 7.5 against Arkansas. And I know a lot of people are like, "Are you kidding me?" Acuff, the tournament's all about defense and great guard play. Well, they've been playing both, and I know they won the SEC, but this is also a team that's lost 8 games this year. Arizona's only lost 2. It's a good basketball squad. It really is.
The blowout factor that we talk about all the time.
Who's got the better shot? Yeah,
Arizona?
No, but I can see Arizona blowing out Arkansas. I mean, I really could. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I could certainly see that. And I love that factor. That factor works a lot more than you think it does. All right, I'm going to go line by line. Just give me your thoughts real quick, like almost flashcards, and then we're going to talk some Major League Baseball real quick because this will be our last show before the Major League Baseball season starts. And I'm so glad you brought that up because, like, Thursday's a holiday. Like, I was actually in Cincinnati. I drove my boy up there. Was it 2 years ago? We drove it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke his ass up. I said, "Get up." I said, "We're driving to Cincinnati." He's like, "For what?" I said, "It's opening day. We're going to see opening day." It was fantastic. Just loved it. They lost 3-2, but it was just it's a holiday up there. Everyone takes the day off. It's just wonderful. It's just to celebrate baseball. And I know that Atlanta Braves fans, I know they are jonesing for some baseball because last year was a debacle. It was a mess, and that team did not play nearly as good as it probably could have. So I know a lot of people are hoping that was just somewhat of an anomaly. All right, we'll go game by game real quick. Texas, Purdue minus 6.5.
Purdue.
Iowa, Nebraska 1.5.
Nebraska.
Arkansas, Arizona 7.5.
Arizona.
Illinois, Houston 3.5, 140.
Houston.
The Johnnies plus 6.5 against Duke.
St. John's.
Alabama, Michigan minus 9.5.
Under.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Izzo and Hurley, 1.5. Hurley.
I'm going with Mr. March.
It's so hard.
To hope to argue a case later.
I know it's so hard because it's so hard not to bet against something you hate because Hurley's just an ass. I mean, he knows he is. He's a great coach. I mean, I'd love to have him at Xavier. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's fantastic. He's won 2 national titles, but you have to really check it back when you start thinking about, betting with because you think, well, if I like it, man, I can have both ways. I can get the coach I don't like to lose the ball game and I win some cash, but it doesn't normally figure out that way. All right.
Well, game. I'm just going with what you said. Me right now, I don't like the game. The matchups, I can see this game being 6 points either way. So if as of right now, I'm giving you my thought off my head, like you said, but I'm not wagering this game right now.
Yeah. Last game, we'll do this for a reason because I know you're a Tennessee homer. Iowa State minus 4.5, over under 138.5. Tennessee's 13-17 against the spread. Iowa State's been a very respectable 18-11 against the spread. Both teams a 24-34 rate on the under in this particular game. Who you like in Iowa State, Tennessee? That's another one of those. I lean towards Iowa State, but the line tells me to take Tennessee plus the 4. It's too small.
I can see us going to the weekend with no SEC teams left in this tournament. with nobody making the Elite Eight. I think the best chance for the Elite Eight is Alabama. The matchup is, as dumb as this sounds to people, with Michigan being a 1 seed. I think that is probably the most favorable matchup with the team with the best chance to win, even though it's the highest line. Iowa State is a very, very, very bad matchup for Tennessee all the way around. The 3 and the 4 that can come out for Iowa State and shoot threes, and Tennessee's bigs do not cover the 3-point line well. I think Tennessee will probably own the rebounding as they have in their other 2 games. But you can be top 5 in rebounding. But again, Tennessee's like 200th in the percentage of making those putbacks.
And you had to be freaking out, man, watching that Miami game, because you said it on the show, man. You didn't like the matchup with Miami because Miami can pop some threes. They made 14 threes or 15 threes a game, but they knocked out 3 quick threes right off the top of that game. I was like, uh-oh, this is not good, because you said Tennessee cannot guard the 3. Fortunately for you, they ended up throwing up some bricks in the second half. I'm not sure if they shot 26, 27% from 3-point line. That was not going to get it done for the Red Hawks.
And I like what Barnes said when they interviewed him at halftime. And he even said, hey, I told these guys they were going to come out and kill threes. He said the best thing that happened to us was in those first 4 minutes, them hitting 3 of them, so the guys could come back over and go, basically, damn, coach was right. Why didn't we listen? And then they did a much better job. But yeah, and Miami missed some wide open threes in the last 5 minutes of that game against Tennessee. And Iowa State's got the one kid, and I can't remember his name, foreigner, that just, I mean, I think he's the one that says like jelly or something in his head every time he shoots. I think he says peanut butter and jelly. When he shoots, he's shooting almost 50% from the 3-point line. It's just stupid crazy. And I don't like how Nate Ament has been playing. I mean, he had 5 stupid freshman turnovers that if you're allegedly a lottery pick, you just don't make. And he did. And they were lucky that some other players played big and played well. That game, I'm laying 4 with Iowa State. I think you wait until Friday night at damn 9 o'clock, because I really think you're going to get Tennessee money. I think this line is going to be closer to 2.
Yeah, but if I'm going to take Tennessee, I'm going to take the money line, because I'm going to take them to win it out.
Sure. Yeah.
If you're going to do that, you're going to do that. All right.
Hey, don't forget tonight and tomorrow, NIT.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals. Just, I mean, Wichita State, Tulsa. I mean, you have
to. Good basketball. It's good basketball. I mean, there's nothing else on.
New Mexico. Yeah. I was a little bit shocked that New Mexico was 11.5-point favorite in this. They play well at home. It is one of those things. You know, I know Case and I have talked about New Mexico State's home court advantage. You have to look at that. But if I'm playing that tonight, I'm taking St. Joe's. Tomorrow, Illinois State at Dayton. I mean, I'm almost positive those teams have played a couple of times this year. Yes. I was kind of surprised Dayton was a 7.5-point favorite. I would take Illinois State. And then Nevada at AUBURN at Auburn. And Auburn's 9.5.
Go get it, Tigers.
But they're at home, so I'm going to take Auburn there. And now I know what's coming.
Yes. 2:10 on, so it's actually 2:10. It'll be 3:10. There's a 4:10 Eastern time, 3:10 Central time. The Cincinnati Reds actually catching a $128 at home against your Boston Bo Sox, who are favored at 157 clip. The over under 8.5. Normally I would take the over in anything in the cracker box, but I'm telling you right now, 6 of the last 7 games for the Cincinnati Reds opening day have gone under the total, including last year and the year before, 3-2 clips and 4-3. They just, you'd think that the place is like Great American Ballpark, so easy to hit out of it. It's not these. As a matter of fact, I would say that Yankee Stadium's easier to hit home runs. Ask Mike Judge, or ask Mike Judge, Beavis and Butthead. Ask Aaron Judge, Mike Judge. Now that'd be hilarious if Mike Judge from Beavis and Butthead, if he was playing for the Yankees, that'd be hysterical.
Hey, before I jump into that, we've got to talk about, because we posted these months ago, but these are some plays if anybody's paying attention and they see this before. You know, we posted some things for odds, like Detroit plus 15 to win the AL Central. Boston, not necessarily a homer pick. Case and I agree. Plus 300 to win the AL East. That would mean the Yankees plus 40 doesn't hit. Seattle, the only favorite we're taking. And they're to win the AL West, Seattle minus 10. Then we got Milwaukee plus 240 to win the Central. We wanted to take the Reds, but I don't think so.
No, they were.
There.
Listen, what's that over under for the Reds last year was
Oh,
80.
we're getting into over unders also. It's
Yeah.
coming. These are just these: the Mets to win the NL East, the Padres to win the West, not the Dodgers. But that's because the Dodgers are minus 700,
Yeah,
and you
it's
can get the
ridiculous.
Padres plus 750. Just go place a $100 wager,
Sure.
$10 wager.
Yeah.
You get $75 for the wins. The Dodgers minus 25 to win the National League. Okay, good play. Seattle plus 500 to win the American League. And then we've got the Dodgers plus 195 to win the World Series, which makes sense. They don't have injuries. But talking about those over-unders, some that we put out there, the Oakland Athletics under 75.5 wins.
That was the team that notoriously started off last year historically bad. What were they, like 1-32 or something? It was crazy.
Yeah. The Braves, believe it or not, under 89.5. Looking
I like
at the schedule, yes,
I like
a lot
it.
of people.
Tell
think
me
the
another team. I mean, if they're banged up. I mean,
yeah.
I hope I'm wrong, but yeah.
You got the Red Sox over 86.5 wins.
I like it.
The Chicago White Sox under 66.5 wins. That would be 16 games. That means they cannot. They need to lose 16 games under 500. So yeah,
that's that. Yeah.
But then the Reds, we've just kind of stayed away from 82.5. I want to see how everything goes with them. I do love the matchup and love what you're talking about for Thursday. Even though the Yankees play Wednesday night, that does not count as opening day. Like you said, Thursday is a holiday. The Red Sox minus 57 right now.
Too much on the road.
But Crochet versus Abbott, I absolutely agree with the under 8.5 like you were talking about. We do have the Rockies over 52.5 wins. We do not think they're going to be more than 30 games below 500.
That's amazing that line is where it is just because they play in Colorado. And quite frankly, you play in Colorado, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. The over under is 12 every night. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
The Dodgers, I don't think this is going out on a limb, but over 103.5 wins. I think I don't think they get to 110, but I think they're comfortably at 106, 107, something like that in there. So wanted to put those out there before we got any further, so people can you see this tonight or Wednesday. If you're not listening live, then that helps you out.
Take my Reds over the 82.5. You can get it too. I'm not saying because I'm a homer, but it was just way 80.5. I can't believe that they're not going to make a 2-game improvement on their over under just based on the coaching staff they have. Terry Francona is the real deal. He wins everywhere he goes. I'm not saying he's going to win a World Series at the Cincinnati, but he will win a pennant there. But if they can keep their pitching together, and I've listened to a lot of Cincinnati radio. I listened to 700 WLWs, the home of the Cincinnati Reds for 100 years. That's all they talk about. They're going to put some money behind this. The Green family's going to put some money behind this baseball team. So look out for the Cincinnati Reds if they're competitive of the All-Star break. I think
they have some good pitching. The only thing that worries me is like
Lodolo's a little bit of a head scratcher, but he got better. He got banged up. Green is good, but he was injured. Abbott was banged up. I mean, yeah, but I mean, if they can keep the thing about the Cincinnati Reds, which is amazing, was their bullpen. Their bullpen always sucks. Period.
What are they? How many 1-0 games did they lose in a row? Like three.
They lost 3 1-0 games. They lost 6 on the year. 6 1-0 games. Just think about that. And I remember thinking like in September, I had already circled the game. Don't ever circle the game. Don't ever circle your game until you know it's win. Just don't ever circle the game because you can't erase it.
You had the over circled winner.
Oh well, yeah, because I mean they had to go like 2-16 or something the last 18 games, whatever. And next thing you know, they're losing like an alarming rate. And I think they had to win like 2 of their last 3 to actually go over. And I think it was the only futures bet I had. But
they did.
Yeah, they did. And then
there are some great matchups this weekend. I've really only gotten into 3 or 4. As far as opening day, I do think I would love to see Tony Vitello, especially beat the Evil Empire, the Yankees. See him win out there in San Francisco. But the matchup with Fried pitching for the Yankees, I would have to play the Yankees. Especially, you're not going to see the Yankees very much this year, only giving up 20, being a minus 20. Yep. You're not going to see that, especially with Fried on the bump.
Take them all day long. Take them all day long.
Over under 7, which tells you. I mean, Webb is a good pitcher as well, but I do like the under matchup, Boston and Cincinnati, like you talked about. When do you think you're going to see Skeens as an underdog? Because the Mets are minus 26 with Peralta pitching. That over under 6.5.
He was an underdog several times last year. He had a horrible record, but I mean his ERA was fantastic.
Yeah,
Listen,
absolutely. And the over-under is only 6.5 in that game. That's something else there. White Sox in Milwaukee with Mazeroski pitching, who's throwing 100 miles an hour for Milwaukee against the White Sox. I actually like that over 8.5, even though Smith is pitching. I do think that you're probably going to see double-digit runs in that game. I don't know that the White Sox will, but it's still early in the season. What people have to realize, you want your pitcher to go 5 innings, but nobody's throwing 100 pitches.
Get your daily plays. I got to fly. K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Major League Baseball, there's going to be plays all day. And, of course, they kick off in the middle of the afternoon. I cannot wait for Thursday. Thank you, Kai. Appreciate everything you do. K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Enjoy your Sweet 16. And we'll be back later this week right here on K4Wins Radio, man. Thank you, brother.
Be good.
Whoop.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.